Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. We appreciate you joining us 5 universities from the United States, for our webinar about the benefit of U.S. research universities. We'll go over quite a bit of information in this presentation, and we will have some time at the end for questions from you, the students, counselors, parents, and whoever else is on this call. Before we get started, I'd like to do some introductions so we know who our presenters are, and you can start to put a face with the institution and the name. So first, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Miss Alexa Brown. Alexa, if you can wave. Alexa is the International Admissions Counselor at the University of Colorado in Boulder. Second, we have Miss Shannon O'Hagan, the International Admissions Representative at the University of Missouri. I am Jackson Wupong. I'm the Assistant Director for International Admission and Recruitment at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I don't see his video, but I know he's here. Mr. Yahweh Zhang is an International Admissions Counselor at the University of Oregon. And finally, we have Mr. Zachary Huxford, International Admissions Officer at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. We're very glad that all of you could join us. If you have questions during the presentation, if anything comes up, you're welcome to ask that question in the chat function of Zoom. You can see on that the bar at the bottom of your screen. You're welcome to direct those questions to any of the hosts. And if you prefer to ask your question in Chinese, that's fine as well. Yahweh would be happy to answer that question. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The reason, really, the 5 of us came together, and Shannon, if you could move to the next slide. A lot of students like to ask why 5 universities like Oregon, Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, and Rutgers would get together and host this kind of event. And the reason is that we find that it's very, very valuable and helpful when we're talking to students to help you guys explore different types of universities and find a place that's a really good fit for you. One of the things I think about a lot when I'm talking to international students is about how 4 years for your education is a very long time. It's a long time to live somewhere. It's a long time to take classes somewhere. It's a long time to be part of a community. And so we want to make sure that you make the right choice in those 4 years. The worst outcome is that you choose a school and you have not done enough research, you haven't thought about it enough, and then you're unhappy there. It's not a good outcome for you, it's not a good outcome for us. And so all 5 of us as counselors we really want to be partners to you as students, counselors, and parents to make sure that you're able to find the best possible fit for your education. When you look at a map such as this, you can see the largest university in each state based on enrollment. I like to ask students all the time, you don't have to answer this right now since we're just on Zoom, but I'll ask students all the time, do you know how many universities are in the United States? And many students will look at this map and start counting 1, 2, 3, and that's not going to get you to the right answer. There's 50 states and there's 50 universities shown here. But on the next slide, you can even see a bit more detailed of a map showing over 1,400 colleges and universities in the United States. There's lots of options. And the best part is that this is not even the full list. The United States has a little over 4,000 colleges and universities for students to choose from. There's a lot of options. The range is incredible. Some of them are quite large, 60, 70, 80,000 students. Some are quite small with fewer than 500 students. Some of them are very expensive, some of them are not. You can see the geographic variety of the United States. The United States is an enormous country, and so there's a lot of geographic variety. We get students that will say, I want to be near the ocean. Great. That limits your choices to the east or the west coast. Some students have a temperature preference. Some students want to live in a big city or not. Even for myself in Nebraska, it's a good example. Nebraska is in the middle of the United States. And if a student ever asked me, can I study marine biology in Nebraska? I point at the map and I say, Absolutely not. That's not a good fit. We have lots of other things that we're good at. Marine biology is not one of them, and that's based on our location. So it's important for you as students to start developing a list of things that you're interested in, and what do you like, what do you not like, what are some things that you're looking for, and that will help you narrow your search for a good fit college or university in the United States. One of the things that makes education in the United States really exceptional, and certainly exceptional at larger universities, state universities like the five of ours, is the opportunity for students to conduct research. And what we'll talk about in some depth here in this presentation is what is research, how can you do it at our universities, what does it mean for you in your career. And that's actually something where I'll pass to my colleague Alexa. She's our research expert here on this call. So Alexa, take it away.
Thanks, Jackson. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about research this afternoon. So now when it comes to research, some of you may already have experience with it in some capacity. So maybe you've done some experiments in your lab classes in high school, in the science courses that you're taking. And maybe that's the only area that you're familiar with research in. Or maybe you don't have any experience in that at all. The whole point in going to college and looking at all of the different university experiences that those of us on this call can offer you, but also all of the universities, not just in the States, but across the world can offer you, is so that you're going to learn something new. And that is a big part of what research is at the university level. It's creating new and innovative ways to study and understand different things about the world. So when you're looking at the different universities and what we can offer you in terms of research opportunities, it's not just limited to what we call the STEM fields. So when I say STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and math. So that is what constitutes STEM. And sometimes you'll find different universities will actually call it STEAM, which includes the arts. But research is often thought of as just test tubes and lab coats, but it's so much more than that. And it's not to say that the test tubes and lab coat science isn't important, because it absolutely is. Each of our universities offers so many opportunities in the sciences, the hard sciences that you're super familiar with, like biology and chemistry and physics, but also in things like mathematics, environmental science, and all sorts of different areas. So you'll find that you're really getting the opportunity to find practical approaches to problem solving. This is where you're putting your ideas and theories into action to actually create something new. So when you see on this slide, there's so many inventions that have come out of different US universities, things like lasers, tons of physics projects, right? Like my own university, the University of Colorado, is one of the best physics programs in the country in terms of atomic, nuclear, all sorts of stuff there, quantum physics, super cool. GPS technologies, so your ability to get to and from places when you're traveling and getting around. Things like barcodes, Google's algorithms, pretty much everything on the internet, right? We're starting off with some really great inventions that are coming out of the US. So I think that there's a lot for you to look forward to, but a lot of these are very science related. Again, if we can go to the next slide. So when we're talking about the research opportunities that exist, right, we focus a lot on those science, technology, engineering, and math fields. And this slide shows you some of the different examples of research that are happening at each of our universities. So for example, when you're focusing on STEM, things like planetary sciences, health sciences, right, and medicine, natural sciences, artificial intelligence, and then Rutgers is doing automated generation of polymers, right? So genetics. So there's really great opportunities in each of those fields if you know that that's what you want to build your career in, not just at your time at the university, but after graduation. When it comes to the non-STEM fields, right, outside of the test tubes and lab coats, you're going to find research opportunities in every single field. even the humanities. The social sciences still has the word science in it, so you might assume that that includes research as well. But music and the arts, they all have different opportunities for you to contribute something new, right? Knowledge is always changing, and it's a really cool way for you to get involved and add to that growing knowledge. So for example, the way people apply theater performance in an educational capacity to teach others about the value of climate change, bullying education prevention labs, writing instruction in the writing labs that exist on each of our campuses, right, to not only help students write papers at the university, but also help them in their careers outside and others who might be struggling in that type of coursework. At the University of Oregon, their sports product development program is actually helping Olympic gold medalists win those awards. So, right, they're getting those medals because they've been helped by students at our universities. And then Rutgers offers a digital humanities lab. So you're combining that technology and the humanities piece to contribute that new knowledge. So if you're someone that's excited about learning something new and coming to the university because you don't know everything yet, but you want to know everything about one specific awesome thing, then you're going to have the option to do that at a large, comprehensive public research university that has so much funding and so many student organizations and award-winning faculty members who can really teach you how to come up with all of those new ideas yourself if you don't have them already. So with all of that being said, there's a lot of things that are included in research, and all of our universities do offer so many options when it comes to that. Like Jackson said, we are 5 very similar institutions, but what tends to make us differ are the types of students that are successful on our campus, what they're involved in, and the other options that they have just because of who we are as individual institutions. So with that all being said, I'm going to hand things over to Zach, and he's going to talk to you all about Rutgers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for being with us today. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Rutgers. Something you're going to hear over and over again throughout this entire presentation is that we're all very large research institutions. So you'll hear that quite a bit. But just to give you a little bit about Rutgers, we're on the East Coast of the United States in New Jersey. We're actually kind of dead smack in the middle of the state. In New Brunswick is actually the town that we call home, but we actually are spread out between 2 different cities, New Brunswick and Piscataway. Piscataway is actually on the top of that map and separate by the river, and then New Brunswick on that bottom half. And I think that's one of the unique things about our school, the way that we have our layout. Each different campus at Rutgers kind of has a different field. Each one has a different school that's housed there, so a bunch of different things on each one. One of the things I think that's really important to share, especially in terms of research or just professional opportunities, is our relation to a lot of major cities on the East Coast. So you'll see going through the middle of that map, that's actually a train station that cuts through our College Ave campus. And it's about a 10-minute walk from the middle of College Ave to the train station. In about 45 minutes, you can get to New York City. In about 90 minutes, you can get to Philadelphia. So that really gives our students an opportunity to go and practice the things that they learn about in the classroom, learn about in those research labs with professionals that are really doing that work right now. And it also presents them opportunities after they graduate. They can go on to work for large organizations, different companies, in any kind of different major that they might be studying in. And again, we are a really, really large institution. We have about 36,000 students. Of those 36,000, almost 7,000 are international students from 113 different countries. So we're very, very diverse, and it's really nice to have all those different views. Go ahead, next slide. So like I was saying, our school is built up of 5 different campuses, and each of those campuses houses a different school with a different focus. There are actually 7 different schools that our students can apply to in their first year. School of Arts and Sciences being our biggest school. that houses about 70 of our 100+ majors that we offer. We also have our School of Engineering, our School of Business, our Fine Arts School, Mason Gross, and we also have our School of Environmental and Biological Sciences. But in addition to all of that, we're really known for a lot of our health related professions. We're actually number 2 in the nation. So that's something that's really, really important to us. We have several hospitals that are very close to our campus that makes going out and finding those opportunities very easy, whatever you're looking to go ahead and do. On top of that, we're number 9 in the country in biochemistry, biophysics, and molecular biology. So again, sciences are really, really important to us. And the research and the things that are going to be available to you allow you to kind of explore whatever it is that you're trying to get out of that college experience. So that's just a little bit about Rutgers right now. We'll hand it right back to Alexa, have her tell you a little bit about Colorado.
All right, thanks, Zach. So I'm really excited to talk to you all about the University of Colorado Boulder. So we are located you can see in this picture, in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. It's a bit snowy here today, but it was nice and warm and sunny yesterday. So the thing with Colorado is if you don't like the weather 1 minute, it'll change the next. So it's something that you just get used to living here. But Boulder, Colorado is known to be the #1 college town in the US. So when I say college town, what I mean is that the city of Boulder is largely built around the University of Colorado. It is made to serve the students. Our community is really close-knit, even though we are large. We do have about 32,000 total students at the University of Colorado, and about 10% are international students. So we are a largely diverse institution with a lot of different opportunities. If you can go to the next slide. So when it comes to our academic opportunities on campus, we offer a lot of the same opportunities as my colleagues here today. So our College of Arts and Sciences is the largest. We have 150 different degree programs at the university, and about 50 or so are housed within the College of Arts and Sciences. So we're best known for our geology, environmental sciences, and psychology programs, but the most popular degree program is integrative physiology, which is our health sciences degree. Overall at the university, we are best known for our College of Engineering and Applied Science, and then our lead School of Business. Our Aerospace Engineering program is one of the best in the country because of the funding we get from NASA. So you might have seen on that research slide that we have space instruments on all of the planets, including Pluto. And we've had 13 astronauts graduate from the university. So if you're looking to get a really strong background in things like astrophysical and planetary sciences, that's also an incredibly strong program. But I also talk from personal experience. I attended the university and graduated just a few years ago. I changed my mind a few times when it came to what I wanted to study, and ultimately graduated with a degree in sociology and theater studies. So it just goes to show you that there's so many different ways to engage with things like research at the university. So like I said, we're all Tier 1 research universities. We offer so many of those options for students to get funding from the first moment they walk into the classroom, and you're taking those lab courses with your renowned faculty members. It's truly a one-of-a-kind experience, and it's a really great way to engage with your learning and build your resume before you go and apply for internships and postgraduate opportunities. And we'll talk a little bit more later about what that looks like on all of our campuses. But overall, you're going to get a really global experience at the university, whether you're coming to the US to study abroad for the first time, or you're looking to come here and then leave again to go study in another country for a semester and get that study abroad experience. If you want to diversify the way that your field shows up around the world, it's a really great way to do so. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is Ralphie. She is the last person/animal that I will talk about this afternoon/evening. It's pretty late here in Colorado. But Ralphie is our live buffalo mascot. So she runs across the football field at every home game. when you picture yourself on a college campus and you picture your experience, you're going to have a very traditional, welcoming, school-spirited experience at the University of Colorado Boulder, and you could get to be a Buffalo. So thank you for listening to me. I tried to keep it short, and we'll get to that frequently asked questions later, but I will hand things over to Shannon.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Shannon and I represent the University of Missouri, which is located centrally in the US. We are in the state of Missouri and the city of Columbia. Our nickname is Mizzou and our mascot is the tiger, which you see there. I'm going to switch things up a little bit and just share 5 fun facts about Mizzou with each of you this afternoon. So to start things off, you'll see in the center of your screen there a picture of 6 columns. And the backstory of these columns is that in 1892, we had a fire on our campus that burned down our original academic building. And after that fire, these columns were the only thing that were left of the campus building. And they decided to keep them. And our entire campus built up around these columns over the years. And so they have become a symbol for our university of strength and perseverance. A second fun fact is that our entire campus is a registered National Botanic Garden. We even have a butterfly garden on our campus. Third fun fact is that we have the most powerful nuclear research reactor on a US college campus in the United States. And what this is used for is research in many different disciplines. It's also used for industry purposes in developing radiopharmaceuticals to go towards things like cancer treatments. Fourth fun fact is that we have the first school of journalism in the world, and it continues to be a globally recognized journalism program. And fifth fun fact is that our educational philosophy is the Missouri method. And the Missouri method is learning by doing, and it influences all aspects of our university experience. So no matter which of our 300-degree programs that you decide to study, you'll have opportunities for great hands-on experiences. So this comes in the form of research, internships, study abroad opportunities, and it starts as early as your freshman year. So we really think it's valuable for you to get that hands-on learning all 4 years of your university experience. And just for fun, I'm going to throw in a bonus fun fact about Mizzou, and that is about one of our famous alumni, who happens to be the famous actor Brad Pitt, who grew up in the state of Missouri and attended Mizzou. And as a little note there, Brad Pitt happened to be in the same fraternity as my uncle, so he was just a couple of years younger. So those are 6 fun facts about Mizzou for you to think about, and then this on the screen here has a few other details for you to be aware of. And with that, I will pass it off to Jackson.
All right, thank you, Shannon. It's hard to follow fun facts in such a convincing way, but I'll do my best. So again, my name is Jackson Mupong from the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. As I mentioned earlier, Nebraska is located right in the middle of the United States. You can see a picture of the middle of our campus there on the screen. It's really, especially in the summer, really, really gorgeous. Green trees, kind of classic college campus. And on the next slide, we'll highlight just a few things that make Nebraska really exceptional in a brief format. So first, we're located in the city of Lincoln. You can see there on the top right. Lincoln has about 300,000 people, so it's sort of a medium-sized city in the United States. It's a bit small compared to cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Delhi, Mumbai. So interpret the size of it however you will. I think there's lots of different interpretations, but really Lincoln is known for being extremely welcoming and friendly, extremely safe for all of our students. And we're also really into live music and sports. And so if any of that is interesting, Lincoln's a great place to be. The University of Nebraska offers 150 different academic programs. There's a lot to choose from, but really what I look for in a prospective student and the students that are most successful at Nebraska are students that come in with a problem that they want to solve. It's a very practical approach to higher education. We encourage students to identify problems early in their communities that they're interested in solving. Just about a year ago, I was able to meet with some prospective students in India, and one of them was talking about how it's hard to generate electricity in India. He was thinking about how can I generate electricity in a way that seamlessly integrates into the current society. And so he's in our college, in our engineering college, doing electrical engineering, trying to develop ways to have speed bumps generate electricity as people and cars go over them. And that's just one of the many different problems that we encourage our students to try to solve at the university. A major research project at the university is how can we foster human health and well-being, and we start with water and dirt. Nebraska, being in the middle of the United States, is very, very well known for farming and agriculture. The state provides food all over the country and all over the world. And so we have excellent world-class programs in water science, soil science, crop science. And so we're trying to have really, really high-quality water and soil that grows high-quality food, which is then taken over to our food science and technology program to make sure that we are presenting and preparing and packaging and preserving food in a way that is attractive and tasty to people. And then those people, once we have high-quality nutrition, are then in some of our programs like physical training, athletic training, physical therapy, human development, child psychology. And so we really try to build a start to finish look and help students if they're interested in really any part of the spectrum of human well-being, from water and dirt all the way to repairing a sprained ankle. We can do that entire chain there, and so we're really, really proud of that. Besides agriculture and the various sort of human well-being fields, we're probably best known for our College of Business. Warren Buffett, being an alumnus of the university, certainly helps with that. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world, still resides in the state of Nebraska, just about an hour away from our campus in Omaha. And finally, we tie it all together by offering a very, very low, very affordable cost of attendance. A friend of mine always likes to say that a piece of pizza just costs less in Nebraska than it does in San Francisco or Miami. And that certainly holds true, not just for pizza, but for cost of living in general. And we're able to offer scholarships as well to some of our high achieving students to really make this an achievable and an accessible education. So that's pretty much it for Nebraska. We'll have some question and answer time later, but with that.
Hi everyone, my name is Yawei Zhang and I'm from University of Oregon, and now I'm based in China. I'm glad to show you guys we are University of Oregon. We are located on the northwest, on the west coast of the United States. Just like the big title says, Oregon's flagship university, which means we are the largest university in the Oregon state. We want to show you this whole campus because it's very green campus. We are well known that we are the #1 green city in the US for the air quality, recycling, transportation, and green spaces. So green, this idea, this concept actually flowed in our blood, not just like a green design, green business, sustainable design. So if you come to the Oregon, you will know recycling actually is a big deal in Oregon. Just like the things going on now in Shanghai, everyone crazy about it. So about air, as a student, I was the student at Oregon 5 years ago, and we love to live there. And it's a big town to study. And we have 9 different schools, including graduate school. And as an international student, you will get a lot of scholarship if you have an SAT or ACT score. We provide $1.7 million, and it's only for international students. If you would like to know the exact numbers, we will have the email list at the end of the PowerPoint. You can definitely reach out to me. Even though it's a big campus, but we want to keep the class small. It's like 17 to 1. So we want to take care of every single student. So can I go next slide? Yeah, so on this map, you will see where we locate at. So this location is really good to get around. It's only take about an hour to go to the West Coast and 2 hours to the biggest city, Portland, which is a place I always go there. You can go shopping, you can go find your friends, and to the NBA game. And then 2 hours to the east, you can go to the mountain, do skiing, hiking, and it's about 4 hours driving to the California border. And also, we are glad to be a member of AAU. AAU is the Association of American Universities. We are one of 63 universities in North America. We share a lot of like a biggest chunk of money to do the research, and faculty members are great. Nobel Prize winner, Pulitzer Prize winners, they are teaching in class. So we have 240 majors you can choose from. But most well-known majors are architecture, business, education, and science. So if you want to study architecture, you will know Daniel Wu is our most famous alumni, Wu Yanzu. He graduated from architecture school when he was studied there, and he's doing really great right now in China. And also education. So education, we want to say it's the biggest major in Oregon, and also they get most funded money to do research. And also we will have the data science. So the data science, the new major we just listed this year, just because of a lot of companies like Intel, Amazon.
It looks like Yahweh might have frozen up a little bit with internet issues, so we'll just give it a second and see if he's able to come back in.
Okay, what about now? This one should be okay. Okay. Got it? Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Where was I at? Oregon is the tax-free state. Just like Nebraska, we don't have too much. We don't have really high expense when you live here. We have the new policy that all freshmen will stay on campus, so you will save a lot of money. As been said, if you have any question, you can type in the window here. But I would like to answer all the questions if you guys have. And can we go to the next slide? Yep. So this new webinar is the coast to coast. Just like us, we are all public research universities. So a lot of students in China, you don't really understand like a research university and some other college in the US. But I know you have a lot of questions, and we are here for you if you want to ask us directly, both in English and Chinese. So I can definitely translate Chinese if any parents in here. But I can go really quick on the question you have. For example, like what are you university doing to support students during the coronavirus here now? In Oregon, we every school like us, we will have a health center. We will have the office ISSS. Gonna support every single international student if you want to go travel, if you want to find a place to stay in the city. We definitely will 100% support you make sure you have good health, and also keep studying on the, we call it remote study on the webinar. But if you have any question, feel free type in right now, and we can all answer to you individually. And then, for example, I can keep going for the questions, like what are the prospects for students to study on campus at your university in the summer 2020 or fall 2020 term. Should we go one by one? We can just go over it. At Oregon, you can study on campus now on summer 2020. Everything will be remotely study on the webinar, and you can definitely talk to your professor online. But I don't know what are other choices for other universities.
I can start. So at the University of Colorado, I'll start with what are we doing to support students right now. So while the majority of campus is technically closed, so classes have been moved entirely online for the rest of the semester, our residence halls have remained open for students who are unable to return home. So that's both for international students as well as domestic students who might not be able to get back home in the States. So we want to make sure that students have access to not only the residence halls, but the dining halls, right? So that they're able to access food and then take their classes online, meet with their faculty members via Zoom. So the same way we're meeting this evening, and really being able to access those opportunities. When it comes to summer, we have made the decision, or the university has made the decision. I shouldn't say we, I don't get to make the decisions. But the university has made the decision to keep classes online for summer 2020. So classes will stay online and classes will not be offered on the Boulder campus over the summer. We are hoping to return to on-campus coursework in the fall. So no decision has yet been made about whether or not classes will be moved online. However, as the university is paying attention to current embassy closures, school closures, and those schools are just starting to open up again. So we're trying to make sure that you have access to everything you need to be able to arrive on campus in the fall. And if you're unable to do so, we're starting to look at what that's going to mean with regards to offering classes potentially online in the fall as well.
I can go. So much like Alexa, we're at Rutgers, we're working with our students that weren't able to get home during this entire thing. Our dorms are open. We do have our dining halls, our dining hall facilities are open, but all of our classes are online as of right now. That is going to continue, I think, through the summer semester, but the goal being to have everybody start to come to campus in the fall. That's what we're trying to do moving forward right now.
Sure, I can hop in for the University of Missouri. Quite similar. I mean, all of our universities are trying to be as responsive as we can to the situation, certainly. Some of the things that might be worth considering is that there's also outreach going on to our students who are still living in the residence halls. We understand that it can be a challenging time and stressful in a transition. So residence hall staff, as well as international staff, just the community at large is making sure to stay connected with students who are still living on campus and taking their classes remotely. Another thing that might be helpful to know is how this impacts more the admission process for those of you considering coming to our universities. And that is something that certainly continues to change day by day as the situation evolves. But our universities are trying to be as flexible as possible in working with deadlines or what types of materials we're accepting, more flexibility in our testing requirements. So at the University of Missouri, for example, we do not typically accept Duolingo, but for fall 2020 applicants, we are now accepting Duolingo in place of TOEFL or IELTS. And so hopefully you will find at many US universities that there is an understanding of the situation and that universities are trying to be responsive to that.
My colleagues couldn't have said it any better. That's pretty much what we're doing. So unless anybody has any other points to add about supporting students during COVID-19 and hoping for summer or fall 2020 in-person classes, I think we can move to the next. Okay, great. So I'll take this one. So, for international students, when you're looking at schools in the United States, it's important to expand your thinking a little bit. I think certainly myself, I'm sure for my colleagues, have lots of students that will ask, how much is your tuition? And that's a fine question. It's an important number, but I think it's important for students to remember that tuition does not encompass the amount that you will have to pay to study at a university. To use mine as an example, at Nebraska, our tuition for an international student is $27,000 US per year. But in order to get your I-20 and to accurately take into account health insurance, on-campus living, on-campus meals, every other possible expense, plus a little bit extra, we usually ask students to demonstrate that they have about $47,000 instead of $27,000. And so it's almost doubled from our tuition. So that's why I encourage students to ask instead about total cost, not just tuition. And then of course you can take your total cost and start subtracting from that number. Many of our universities in the United States, and certainly the 5 of us, are able to offer merit-based aid based on your academics. And so if you're a good student, if you did well on SAT, ACT, IB results, if you're getting good grades in your school, all of that goes into our review for possibly awarding you scholarships, which is just essentially free money from the university based on your academic success. I will say there are some institutions in the United States, it's more rare, but there are some institutions in the United States that will be able to offer you financial aid based on financial need. And so if your family does not have enough money to afford your education in the United States, but you're still a good student, there are a few schools in the United States that would be able to offer financial assistance based on that need. Unfortunately, Nebraska is not one of them. If any of my colleagues have a program for that, speak now. So those are the typical ways that students are able to have some sort of financial aid before you arrive. Of course, once you do arrive, you can have a job on campus. There are likely opportunities for you to live off campus, which may or may not save some money. So there are other ways to reduce your cost after you arrive. But when thinking about financial aid, it's best to start with what is your total cost, how much financial assistance can you receive as a student, and then asking the universities what would be a possible net cost after scholarships. Anyone else want to add to that?
I do. I'd like to add 2 quick things. Thanks, Jackson. That was super helpful and very thorough. What I would like to add is if you are a U.S. citizen that's tuning into this webinar, you can apply for the Fafsa. Our university financial aid offices should hopefully have personnel, staff available to help you figure out how to fill out the Fafsa with your parents. If your parents or legal guardian, whoever is paying for you to go to university and oversees your well-being, if they're earning money in currency that is not the US dollar, definitely reach out to the universities that you're applying to for assistance in submitting that FAFSA, because we want to make sure that you're able to fill that out accordingly. Now, that is something that's only available to US citizens, as that is like financial aid, loans, and things like that. And as Jackson said, it's a bit more rare for international students to be awarded that need-based aid. What I will say, and the second piece of advice that I do have for all students, US citizens, true international students who will be studying in the States on a visa, is working with your local Education USA office. So wherever that's located, and if you don't know where that is, reach out to us. We will be happy to connect you and figure out who that is for you. But Education USA offices offer some really great advising for students who are looking to study abroad in the United States. not just with regards to filling out the application and narrowing down your search, which universities you want to apply to and which offer the programs that you're interested in, right? Jackson talked about FIT at the beginning of this webinar, so they're really great for that. But they're also going to be very helpful if you're starting to look for funding. So specifically, if your Ministry of Education, if any other programs offer things like scholarships that you could take anywhere with you when you study abroad, so whether it's if you go to the United States, if you go to the UK, if you go to Australia, if you go to any of these other places, sometimes you can find really great scholarships. So EduSA is obviously for the purpose of helping students study in the United States, but they can be really helpful in advising you through the process of trying to find some additional funding. Anyone else have anything to add? Cool, then I will go on to the next question. So what you'll notice is that we haven't talked a lot about our individual application processes at each of our universities. So just as you've heard that there are some things that make each of us just a little bit different, things operate differently, not only based on the states that we're in the United States, but also across our different institutions. And so you might be really familiar with different portions of what it takes to complete a college application. Things like essays, writing about what you're in your extracurricular activities, the list of classes that you're taking and all the basics, but the actual form that you have to fill out is going to differ across institutions. So some of us offer what we call the common application, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's common. So many of us are able to offer that, and it means that you can submit one application to a whole bunch of different universities, and then the only specific things that you need to fill out for each school are any individual essay they might ask for, any specific information that they need, such as the major that you hope to study at that university and things like that. So while there are specific application pieces for each school that you're looking at, it's really nice to know that you can submit all the basic name, your birthday, what your parents do, what classes you're taking, all of the stuff that you're involved in, right? You can submit that all in one place. Some of us offer what we call the coalition application, which is very, very similar. So there's slightly less schools on the coalition application, but again, it's a very common way for students to apply to schools in the States. So that's another option as well. And then the third type of application that you'll find at US universities is institutional applications. So that means you're submitting one application to that one school and nowhere else. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything about the types of applications or anything specific you might be looking for. The one thing I will say about CU Boulder is we're one of the rare schools that does require a letter of recommendation. So if you are looking for a teacher or a counselor, someone who knows you well, if you are watching us today because your college counselor gave you the link to this webinar, then you might want to talk to them about what it means to get a letter of recommendation, because we really just want to hear someone else brag about how great you are. So that's what a letter of recommendation is.
All I wanted to add was just similar to what Alexa said. I mean, you will find that it varies. So my advice is to just connect with the schools that you're interested in, because you will find that the process varies from one to another. So some, it could be different deadlines, some it could be very straightforward process, different types of applications. So some may require an essay, some may not. So just to be aware that you will see variation there, and that's okay. It's just a reflection of the diversity of our higher education system. And I'll see if anyone has anything to add there. If not, I have a question that came in from the audience, and so we can get to that. But before I do that, any other things to add? No? Cool, okay. So the question that came in is that as follows. It says, I heard that many public universities are overcrowded, so students might have difficulties enrolling in popular courses and will not be able to complete study in time. So what is your all's reaction to that question? And if you'd like, I can start, and then we can kind of go around and see if anyone has anything else. So certainly I think you will find, oh, sorry, there was an echo there. You may find that, yeah, universities are different sizes. And so I think sometimes there is a perception out there for larger universities that they are huge and that classes are all big and that there isn't individual attention from professors and things like that. So I think that's sometimes the bad reputation that can come with large universities. And I think it's important to know that there might be some truth in kind of a rumor, and that's that you will find that there are sometimes some large classes for students, especially in their first couple years of study. But oftentimes those large classes are broken down into smaller study groups, smaller lab sessions that are taught in a smaller environment where students can still get good interaction. And then as students progress in their studies, you're going to have smaller and smaller class sizes. As far as the issue of having difficulties enrolling in popular courses, I think this can vary. For the most part, I would say that, well, I could speak for my university. It's not a huge issue. I mean, I think that certainly if students wait till the last minute, then sure, choices are going to be a little bit more limited in what's available. But you do work with your academic advisor, and they can kind of help you in planning your courses that you need to take, making sure you're staying on track with your degree requirements to graduate in the least amount of time possible. So overall, I think it's important to know that the resources are available to help you with that, and that large research universities do not mean no attention and no support along the way. So I'll have my other colleagues jump in with anything else to add.
Yeah, I want to add on a small point on when you register campus, register for classes. Because you are international students, so we have the special team for you. We call it academic advisor. Like Shannon said, we have the resource for you to support you and select the best class for you. But in mind that every student, when you go into college, you are a college student. You won't be able to get help, like be pushed by someone else. So you have to be self-motivated. So you need to consider what you're gonna study for next term, maybe the term after next term. So if you have a really clear mind or the logic behind your major, or if you know your major gonna be by the third year, you will have a clear path. Then there's no issues when you register class, especially in this research college here. Just plan ahead. That's the best advice from us.
I also wanted to add, and I said this during my portion of the presentation on CU Boulder, but speaking from personal experience, I do want to say it's okay to change your mind. Just depends on what you're changing your mind between. So if you're at one of our universities and you're choosing between highly competitive programs, you might add some time onto your degree program. The hope is that if you are starting to figure things out early, like Yahweh said, you're talking to your academic advisor about the things that are interesting to you, and you're taking what we call general education or core classes. At all of our universities, we do still require liberal arts style classes. So your English, science, history, math, all of those kinds of classes. And you may be able to pass out of some of those classes before you arrive at the university based on some of your previous academic performance. But as long as you're talking to your academic advisor, they can really help you stay on track to graduate within 4 years. But it is okay to change your mind. Sometimes you take classes in things that you never thought that you would be interested in, and all of a sudden, that's where you see your future career path after graduation. On the other hand, you could be someone watching this webinar right now knowing 100% what it is you want to study and do with your career after graduation, and that is wonderful, and I envy you. I wish I could have been that person when I was in college, but that is a really great thing, and still meet with your academic advisor regularly because that's going to be really important to your success. The other thing that I will say is an important question to ask when you're looking at universities is who is teaching your classes. So class size is always a really important question, right? We were just saying access to classes, the courses that you actually want to take, as well as the large class sizes versus the smaller kind of one-on-one small study group style classes that you might have. Those are all really important things, but you also want to make sure that you're being taught by your faculty members. So you may have review sessions, you may have really brief sections that are led by what we call teaching assistants or research assistants, who are typically graduate students in the program that you're studying in. But lectures, for the most part, should be led by faculty members, at least at my university they are. And so that's something important to ask. Make sure you're learning from the expert. That was a really good question, whoever sent that one in.
Okay, can I say something? Hello, can I?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your explanation concerning the class sizes. And actually, I was going to ask if it is possible, if there are odds that some courses are offered, are taught by postgraduate students. Actually, that is, I don't know if it is a rumor or something I heard. I read an article talking about the differences between private universities and public universities. So, yeah, courses taught by whom is another concern as a parent. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, that's why I brought that up. It's an important question to ask.
Okay,
Yeah. So
so,
it'll totally depend on the universities that you're looking at. So it's not just public versus private, it is purely each school by each school. So it's a really good question to ask each of us, and I'm sure each of us can provide an answer to what it looks like at each of our campuses. At the University of Colorado, lectures are taught by faculty members. So when it comes to your first year at the university, if you're taking some of the larger introductory courses, an intro to physics or sociology or psychology, something like that, you might have 200 students in a lecture hall, but that class will be led by your faculty members, so you're learning from the best. And then the one time a week review session that you're required to attend will be led by a teaching assistant. So that's a postdoctoral or even a graduate level student who is studying in that program. But because they have taken the undergraduate level coursework, they know how to teach you how to study for it better than anyone else. But I want to make sure that you know that at least at the University of Colorado Boulder, you're learning straight from the professor themselves, and then you're reviewing with a graduate student. And then classes get so much smaller after the first year. Who's next?
Yeah, I would echo, it's a similar setup at the University of Nebraska. We have full faculty members that will teach the lectures, and the primary instruction is all done by faculty that have what's called a terminal degree, so usually a PhD in their field. We do have students so postgraduate students, PhD students that will teach the review sections, and also especially in our engineering program, in our hard sciences, the postgraduate students will also usually be teaching the laboratory component and be sort of handling that and supervising the lab instead of having a faculty member running the lab. So we have our faculty that are handling the instruction, doing the sort of major research projects, and then postgraduate or graduate students that will be doing the review, the lab components, sort of the other instruction on the side.
Very similar. The only time that it wouldn't be a faculty member being in the classroom would be those small recitation classes that Alexa was speaking of. Besides that, it would be all taught by faculty at Rutgers.
It's very similar at the University of Missouri. I think what's important to be aware is usually when you're talking about graduate students, they would be teaching assistants, and the assistant's an important part of that title because they're ultimately supporting the work of the faculty member and of that department. And so ultimately the primary person responsible for the course content would be the faculty member. And then they do have graduate students in more supportive roles. All All right, great questions. I think we can probably move on to another one of our frequently asked questions. And again, you're more than welcome to keep asking questions through the chat, and we'll get to those. But I guess we can go ahead and start to tackle one of the more challenging subjects, one we get asked a lot that we understand is certainly a concern, especially for parents and counselors, I mean, students as well. But it is a frequent question when it comes to campus safety and what resources are available on our campuses related to campus safety and within our cities. So I will let one of my colleagues here jump off with that, and then I can hop in just a minute.
Perfect. So safety is obviously very important to you and to all of our universities, and it's something that we all take very seriously. Just a couple things that I'd like to highlight for Rutgers. Being that we are separated by a river, so we span 2 different cities, we actually in total have 3 different police departments that patrol our campus. The Piscataway Police Department, the New Brunswick Police Department, and the Rutgers Police Department that we have on our campus. So there's always people around. It is always being taken care of by one or the other. On top of that, we also are a blue light school. And one thing that I do always like to mention to any students or parents when I talk, being in a city, there are times that people are like, well, what happens if they don't know where the student doesn't know where they're at or anything like that? We actually have a service. It's called the Night Rider. It operates at night on the weekends and throughout the week, where students can actually reach out and get in contact with a driver on our campus, and they'll actually come to your location, pick you up, and take you back to wherever it is, whether that's your campus, your dorm, or if you're living off campus, they'll make sure that you get home and making sure that everything's taken care of. So just I think that's just something I really wanted to highlight, just something that we kind of do. Anything anybody else wants to add?
Something I'll add really quick is that we're each located in, I explained what a college town was earlier, but I find it easier to kind of put things in perspective. A college town, we're each cities in our own right, but as Jackson said, we're much smaller than Beijing or Shanghai, many of the larger cities that you immediately picture. So we're already smaller in that way, but really we are a lot safer than some of the larger cities that you might think of. My example that I always give is the most common crime in the city of Boulder is bike theft, because there are more bikes than there are people in the city of Boulder. It's the most popular form of transportation, and sometimes students just don't lock up their bikes. So it often sets some parents' minds at ease when we get asked that question, that the most common thing that happens in the city of Boulder is that bike theft. But it's just important to know that, like Zach said, we have multiple police presences on campus, right? People whose job it is to protect your students when they're on campus. So we really want to make sure, and we want you to know, that we prioritize your students' well-being, and to you students, we prioritize your well-being during your time at college, and we want to make sure that you're safe.
At Oregon, we will have the free shuttle for international students. For example, if you want to study in the library super late at night, you don't have the car. I believe most of our school will provide the safe ride, we call it. They will pick you up at the library and drop you off at the dorm, or even you want to pass the Walmart or Safeway to purchase some personal items, and then at the end they will send you back to dorm safely. So for a student like me, when I first time come to the U.S., you don't have a car, you don't have any access to at the first week. So make sure you contact the office, international student office, and also the police station on campus. At Oregon, we have a really big police station on campus, so you can call them anytime if you want. And also, most of the U.S. schools have an emergency call box. So whenever you feel uncomfortable when you're walking along on campus, you can click that, push that button, and placement will show up in about a minute, I would say. So especially in public research university, we are very, like the buildings are next to each other. It's not like in a big city like in New York or in Chicago. So most of the students actually just walk on the campus. You will feel pretty safe actually.
On a lighter note, I can move on to the next question. So the next question is one we get asked a lot, and it's what kind of extracurricular opportunities are available on your campus or in your city? So while you're in school, maybe right now is not the best example as students are just starting to get back to classes and back to a slightly more normal routine, hopefully. At least we hope that you're able to. But if you're unable to, maybe you're dreaming about the days when you're able to participate in the activities that you used to be a part of and what that's going to look like at each of our universities. Or if you've always been someone who is dedicated entirely to their schoolwork and hasn't had much time to do other things outside of that, college is going to be the opportunity to do that. You only have to get to spend, I should say, so many hours in the classroom or in the lab every single week. And then you have a lot of other time that you need to decide what to do with. Now, obviously, some of that time, a lot of that time actually should be spent studying and reviewing for the classes that you're taking to make sure you're prepared for examinations and projects and things of that nature. But there are so many hours left in the day for you to be able to enjoy different fun things that have nothing to do with school. So when we're talking about different things that are offered at each of our universities, I'll say at CU Boulder, the most popular thing for students to do is to get outside and enjoy nature. You saw that beautiful photo of Boulder. So skiing, snowboarding, hiking, rock climbing, taking advantage of all the stuff outside. But all of these people, they know me pretty well and they know that I like inside better than I like outside. So we have plenty of stuff to do on campus, movie screenings, student government. They control a huge budget, which allows for tons of student activities. We bring great speakers to campus. All of us have some really awesome alumni, as well as student organizations who are gonna bring super cool people to talk to you about all of the fun stuff that they get to do. Celebrities, politicians, nonprofit organizations, just tons of different things. So you can always learn something new. The one thing I will say, and I get asked this all the time, we have a student involvement fair in the fall. I'm pretty sure all of us do. So you are going to have the opportunity to learn a lot about a lot of different ways that you can spend your time. You are allowed to show up to the first week of meetings and then decide that you don't want to go to any more of them. It's okay to change your mind and decide that you're not interested in something. College is your opportunity to express your freedom, try new things, and decide what it is that you want to prioritize and dedicate your time to. So try something new, try a few things out, and then commit to a couple of things that you really like.
Alexa, I think that's really good advice. When I think back on being a student in my first year in college, I think in my first week I was a member of maybe 20 different clubs, and then I had to sort of scale back a little bit from there. For students and parents and counselors that are interested in what are the options to do at each of the universities, it's pretty easy usually to find or to ask about how many extracurricular opportunities are available on campus. I think for us at Nebraska, we're one of the smaller universities of the 5 of us, and so we probably have one of the lower counts for for extracurricular opportunities. A lot of times I'll ask students to guess how many we might have on the lower end of these groups, of a group like this, and a lot of times the guess is 60, 70, 80 organizations, and for us, I think we just hit 600 organizations on campus for students to choose. I'm sure for some of my colleagues with larger universities, hopefully more than that. And so a lot of times what our students will say is, if you're bored and you have 600 opportunities outside of the classroom and you're bored, it's your fault. It's not the university's fault. It's really, really easy to find something to do on campus or even outside in the cities.
There's just two quick things I wanted to add to that. And one of them is that that's one of the nice things about the types of institutions that we all represent, is that we kind of can provide it all. And being fairly large, we have resources available. So we all have great athletics, we have great academics, we have many opportunities for engagement in all different forms. And so it gives you a whole lot of options for you to be able to explore your different passions, find different groups of people who share passions that you share. And it's just a really nice way to explore what it is that interests you. And another really great benefit of that is that there's also resources to help you along the way. So for these student organizations, there's offices called like student engagement or student life, where you can go and learn about these opportunities, because I know sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. At my university, for example, we have something called involvement ambassadors, who are current students, and they can meet with you and learn more about you and then help you to find out about the different opportunities available. They might recommend some academic organizations, some social ones, depending what interests you. So the good thing is there's many opportunities. The even better thing is that there's resources to support you in that process.
The one thing I was going to add, especially in terms of the clubs and organizations that are on campuses, a lot of them are actually student run and student driven. So you might go and look at different schools and see what clubs or organizations that they're offering. I would be shocked if you didn't find at least one thing. But if there, by some chance, is nothing on that list on whatever school you're looking at that doesn't jump off the page at you, all it takes is a group of like-minded people and maybe someone on campus to back you up a little bit, and that club can be a thing. Those clubs span from everything from K-pop clubs to culinary clubs to race car clubs. I know Indiana University has a sweet potato club. I have no idea what they do there. No one's been able to tell me. But I always like to share that, because if they have that at that school, odds are you'll be able to find something that you're interested in wherever you're going. Does anybody have anything else to add? I think we can jump to the next question. So can students have an internship, co-op, or on-campus job? And what are the prospects to having a job after graduation? Great question. So the easier answer to the first one is yes. Internships are going to sometimes depend on the program that you're in when you're studying. A lot of them, in some cases, I know specifically for our engineering students, that's something that's built into their plan throughout their 4 years. So when they take it is kind of set for them in some cases. And in terms of on-campus jobs, in fact, I would encourage students to go and do that. Any opportunity that you have to go out there and interact with the campus community, I think is very rewarding. I think that's a great thing to do, and it's a benefit to your overall college experience. And in a lot of cases, it's networking. You get to meet new people who knows where that new person might lead. And then for Rutgers, in terms of job prospects after graduation, the one thing that I would encourage students to look at is that number of students that go on to something after. So for instance, at Rutgers, more than 80% of our students after graduations find employment or go on to continue their education at the graduate level or further. So, and I think that's a really, really important thing to be aware of, to go and see that not only are students graduating from an institution and ready to go into the workforce and into a profession for what they were studying, but also getting an education enough that they are able to take the next steps to whatever other degree that they might want to pursue after. So I think that's something that's really, really important to take a look at too.
Cool. And also I want to share a couple, my own internship experience when I studied there as international students. So every single international student, you heard a lot of rumors on on the internet that you cannot work, you cannot earn any money, which is not true. You can definitely work, but make sure you go to the office, to the international office, to apply the CPT, which is a working permit during your study. And then you can go find a job. And then after graduate, you need to have an OPT. It's a permanent card, not a permanent, it's like a temporary card to work in after you graduate in 1 year. So when I study in the US, I studied product design. And so at the end of the year, you will have the internship class, which means you have to go find an internship to earn the credits for your class. So you will have the working experience before you graduate. So I applied the job in Adidas. So I was the footwear designer in Adidas in Portland. And you will working around a lot of athletes and great designers. And then actually they pay you. So they pay you, you need to also fill out the tax form, every single form you need to fill out as a citizenship. So, but make sure you have the card with you so then you can work. And also make sure fill the tax, even though you are foreigners, but you still need to report the tax.
Something I'd like to add too is making sure you research or ask those of us who are in admissions or asking us to connect you with someone in what we call a career services office at our universities. It sometimes goes by different names, but there are typically advisors who are going to be able to help you in your job search. And that's not just for after graduation, but that's actually something. I used to work in career services at my university, so I always encourage students to get started off with that right away, so at least that they can help you start creating your materials, what we call a cover letter, and your resume, write the list of experiences that you have that make you employable. Those are going to be really important things that you start creating so that you can go and engage at our career fairs, which is like, if you have been to a college fair where you see those of us who work for universities standing behind tables and telling you all of the stuff that we're telling you today, it's like that, but with jobs. So you're going to have a lot of those different kinds of opportunities, and they're often separated by field or industry so that you're not overwhelmed with a bunch of opportunities that you're not all that interested in. You can go to a day that's really dedicated to a field that you want to pursue. And then finding an advisor, maybe they're in international student and scholar services, as Yahweh mentioned, or they're in that career services center, but someone who can help you find job opportunities and the location that you're looking for. Boulder, for example, is really close to the city of Denver. That's the largest city in our state. So a lot of students are looking for internship and job opportunities in the city of Denver. But we have so many students, as do all of us, that go to the different coasts in the United States and who also leave the country, go back home to work right after graduation. So if you want help in pursuing a job in different locations after graduation, maybe that's something that you should keep in mind as you're looking into your college search. What universities have the resources to help you get to where you want to be?
I think my colleagues pretty much covered it as far as those opportunities go, but same at Mizzou, lots of great opportunities for students to gain really good experiences throughout their program. So I think we can go on and talk about some of the majors that our universities are most well known for. And just before we go into that, I just want to say we appreciate you hanging in there with us. We know that this is a lot of information to throw your way. So we will probably kind of go a little bit quickly through these last couple questions, and again, extend the offer to you to ask any final questions you might have as well. So I can kick it off with some of the majors that my university is most well known for. And I mentioned it earlier, the one we're most well known for would be journalism, because we have the oldest school of journalism in the world. It's kind of what we're most well known for in general. And there's all different types of opportunities in journalism, whether that be traditional print and broadcast journalism to more innovative sides of it, where you can take courses in things like drone journalism, to things on the more advertising side of it, strategic communications. Beyond journalism, we have really strong programs in the STEM fields, particularly engineering. And then it kind of follows your typical degrees that are common at large research universities. So engineering, as I mentioned, business, the sciences, as well as we do have strong programs in social sciences such as psychology. So those are some of our most popular majors on our campus, and I'll let Zach go next.
So at Rutgers, actually our most popular major is actually computer science. That has the most students in it that each year that join in. But I think some of the most popular schools that we have that students go to study and look to go to Rutgers for are our engineering and our business school. And a lot of that has to do with our relation to New York City, how close we are. A lot of our students, look to come and gain experience to be able to go and pursue internships and professional opportunities in both of those major cities. So it is a benefit for the students that go into those two schools. Alexa?
Awesome, thanks. So I mentioned a few of them when I was talking earlier. We're probably best known for aerospace engineering at the university just because of our affiliation with NASA and all of the research opportunities that are available on our campus with our new aerospace engineering research building. But we have a lot of different research facilities dedicated to our sciences. So we are ranked #1 in the country for geological sciences. So because of where we're located next to the Rocky Mountains, opportunities for field research and just the different environments that you have access to are going to be really great. And emphasis on sustainability is also really popular at the university. I will say that there's a little bit of a difference between top ranked or like those kinds of programs that you might best be known for in terms of like the really great faculty and the award-winning people who are doing them. And then there's also the programs that are just super, super popular. So I mentioned that integrative physiology or health sciences is really popular. And we have a really strong connection with the Special Olympics. So we have a lot of really cool research on prosthetic work. And something that I will say to kind of dip into the next question a little bit about recent developments, we have a pretty brand new, as of this last year, biomedical engineering major at the university. So it used to just be a certificate that a lot of our students were pursuing, but now it's become a full-time degree program because so many students have been interested in it, which I think is super cool. Psychology is the second most popular degree on campus, followed by computer science. So similar to Rutgers in that area. However, I will say we have 2 different computer science programs at the university. So we do have a Bachelor of Arts as well as a Bachelor of Science, but now both will be housed in the College of Engineering. So really the difference between those 2 is what you want to do with them after graduation. Do you want to be more creative, graphic design focused, user interface, things like that? Or do you want to do more of the coding, programming, and hard science nature? Do you want to be an engineer? So those are kind of the most popular things that the University of Colorado is known for. The one other thing I will mention is our business school at the university, the Lead School of Business. CU Boulder, and Boulder in particular, is actually a kind of unknown tech hub in the US. We have a lot of really great startups that come out of the university and an innovation challenge every year. And Google actually established a campus in the city of Boulder, and my brother works for them. So that's kind of cool. So we have some big name companies, even in Boulder, Colorado, landlocked. Like Jackson said, maybe not the best place for marine biology, but a lot of different options. Over to Jackson.
All right, thanks, Alexa. For Nebraska, for international students, we're best known for our College of Business, specifically actuarial science, and also our College of Engineering, so software engineering, computer engineering, mechanical, stuff like that. For students within the United States, our programs in the College of Education and the College of Agriculture are more popular relative to the overall applicant pool. Yahweh?
Yeah, thank you, Jackson. Yeah, at the University of Oregon, I would say business is one of the most popular major on campus for international students. And also follow that will be the data science, computer information science. But most well-known majors, I would say education. So our education department are ranked top 3 nationwide all the time. And they have elder study, kids care. If you want to be a teacher, elementary school teacher, this is a great choice for you. And also architecture, sustainable design, sustainable architecture is most well-known major worldwide. A lot of concepts related to green space actually started at the University of Oregon. And also like a lot of design programs, because we have really tight relationship with Nike. The headquarters of Nike are located next to our campus, not far from the city. But also Nike started from our campus. So the founder of Phil Knight, he donated $1 billion on campus just for helping athletics, science, and also any research project. And also if you want to study like computer information science, we have a strong major for that because Intel is located in Portland. So a lot of professor and instructor actually from Intel who is actually working right now. So if you want to study big data, like data science that we just listed in the major, it's a good start if you want to start to do some computer things in Oregon. And I think we have a lot of other majors, but please make sure if you want to apply arts, music, or performance, you will have a separate application. You need to submit your portfolio or a CD.
Okay.
And we can go, maybe we can go the next. Is that all for everyone? Yes.
Yeah,
right.
let's do maybe one.
I think we can go to the last one. What's some recent development and updates from university, non-coronavirus related? At Oregon, we just have two new majors, data science and bioengineering, I think. And also the biggest track and field is almost complete. So in 2021, the World Track and Field Championship will host on our campus, and you will see the most beautiful and fine stadium in Oregon, and everyone will be travel here.
I'll go. We at Nebraska for the fall 2019 semester, so starting in August of last year, we introduced a major called Emerging Media Arts. So it's blending kind of graphic design and computer science into a really artistic storytelling medium. So we're super excited about Emerging Media Arts. And we're introducing a new major for this coming August 2020, the fall semester, for forestry in our College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. So 2 new majors in 2 years. Zach?
So some of the bigger ones that jump to mind, we actually just got a brand new football coach. And we have been building a lot of new athletic facilities on our campus. And actually our wrestling program and actually our athletic program as a whole was host to the U.S. Men's Wrestling World Team Trials last year. So that was pretty cool. Alexa?
So we actually just got a new football coach too, because our old one went to Michigan State. So that's kind of a bummer. But when it comes to updates, I think I just shared a few new biomedical engineering program, computer science. Both of those are now in engineering. The Bachelor of Arts used to be in the College of Arts and Sciences. There are 2 programs that aren't new, but I do always like to mention. The first is environmental design. So if you're interested in architecture, landscape design, or planning, it's the program for the change makers is what I call it. I love it. I wish I had known it was a thing before I applied to university. It would have been one of my 4 majors that I changed my mind between. but it's a really, really cool option. And at least at CU Boulder, you don't need to have a portfolio to be considered for the program. So we want you to come in and get that studio experience right away without necessarily having a background in it, which is really cool. The other one I'll mention is our Information Sciences program in our College of Media, Communication, and Information. That one is fairly new to that school, and they're doing some really cool research right now on how to follow social media in order to track the impact of natural disasters. So as people in different areas, so for example, California gets a lot of earthquakes, so they start to see kind of where earthquakes are spreading based on who's posting about those things on Twitter. So I think that that's kind of a cool way, again, that non-STEM really focused research that's happening, that's fairly new to the university. So those are kind of some fun options. And then the last thing I'll say is that Ralphie, who I introduced you to, Ralphie 5, so she's the 5th generation of Ralphie. She just retired this last football season, so hopefully Ralphie 6 will be making her debut this coming fall. Shannon.
Last but not least, I'll wrap it up with a few updates from Mizzou. First is that we actually had a Nobel Prize winner last year in 2018, from the year 2018, but he won it last year. His name's Dr. George Smith, and he won it for chemistry, and then he donated his prize money back to the university. And the latest update for this year is that they just announced the inaugural class of Nobel Scholars that came out of that scholarship fund he created. So students have just been awarded scholarships to support their undergraduate research projects. And this will be an ongoing opportunity for students each year. So we're pretty excited about that new development. Another one is that for students who need to begin full-time in our Intensive English Center, there's now a scholarship available specifically to you. So it's called the Provost International English Scholarship, or PIES. And so for any student that needs to begin full-time there, they're essentially paid back by the university in the form of a scholarship if they enroll in undergraduate courses. So any tuition and fees that they pay towards intensive English comes back to them in the form of a scholarship. And then the third update that I have is that we are developing something called the Next Gen Precision Health Institute, which is a pretty exciting collaboration with all the University of Missouri System campuses as well as industry. And there's going to be some really great research happening there related to healthcare. So those are the Mizzou updates, and I think we've made it through all of our frequently asked questions. I also do not see any final questions that have come in through the chat. So I guess it falls on me to do just a final wrap up here, and thank you all very much for attending. I will go ahead and put up our last slide here with our email addresses. So certainly please do reach out to us if you have any questions at all about our individual universities or about studying in the US in general. We're happy to be a resource to you throughout the search process. So with that, we'll wrap it up and have a good rest of your afternoon, and farewell.